In this episode, we take you to the BC Boat Show at Port Sidney Marina. We are Malcolm and Rachel, and welcome to our channel. We share everything about our retirement lifestyle.
The boat search continues.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hi there.
Hi.
We're sitting out on our patio in our backyard. The weather's turned a little warmer, so we thought we'd film out here.
Yeah, we're enjoying a really nice late spring, not quite early summer, but it's a beautiful day out here today.
Yeah, and BC has a really nice long spring, so we're enjoying the sort of warmer but not too warm temperatures.
Yeah, you kind of sort of lean into the spring, and then the summer's a ways off. But it's a nice way to leave winter and start looking at boats.
Yeah, that's a good segue. So we recently went to the, I think it's called the BC Boat Show in Port of Sydney, which is kind of the north part of Victoria. So on Vancouver Island, it's only about two plus hours drive for us from here. Yeah. So we're continuing our search. We're still looking for a used vessel, and we kind of know what we're looking for. We're trying to be open-minded, but it's still fun, even if we don't find a boat, to look at the boats, to see what's new and, what's happening with boat sales. So I think the trend we've noticed recently is maybe boats aren't selling as fast now. So we're sort of thinking that maybe some used boats might come on the market this summer, and people who maybe are getting out of boating.
Yeah, we're certainly seeing a lot. We're seeing more used boats that are being reduced in price. Some of the new boats, some are 2023, so they're still on the lot, and those have come down a little bit in price as well. So it looks like there's a bit of pressure to bring those prices down, just because maybe the demand is not as strong as it used to be. So we're keeping obviously that in mind as we go looking for boats. But it was fun to go to I call it the Sydney Boat Show.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because we saw a lot of aluminum boats in water. So it was great to get on them. And those of you that boat know that when you get on a boat and you first step on, does it move? Does it rock? How does it feel?
Yeah, you want to know what it feels like.
So it gave us a real opportunity. And we went fairly early, I guess, in the boat show. So there weren't a lot of people there.
Yeah, it was the first day, and we were there right away. So pretty much as they opened.
Which gave us unfettered access to all the boats. You could just step on. You'd be the only ones there. And in some cases, it would just be the representative of the company. And in some cases, nobody. So it was a nice time, and the weather cooperated as well, which made it all the better. It wasn't windy, and it was a little overcast.
And this isn't a very big boat show, but the marina is very nice. It's a really nice location once you're outside the marina too, just walking around the neighborhood. But the boat show itself, they had quite a variety of boats. They had some sailboats, of course. There are a lot of people do sailing out here. They had a few trawlers, like Grand Banks, and they had a very nice Fleming, the same Fleming we showed you in the Vancouver Boat Show.
Yeah, and the Nordic tug. They had a couple of those.
Quite a few Nordic tugs and some Ranger tugs.
Yeah.
So a lot of these boats we didn't film because we've already shown that, or, that's not something we're sort of following right now.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to see those vessels in the water.
But what is nice is you can actually see in the water the cutwaters, the Nordic tugs, the Ranger tugs right beside the Kingfishers, the liquid metals, those that are aluminum boats. So you can really start looking at the comparisons between fit, finish, functions, and features. And that was nice to be able to see them. You turn one way, you look at the aluminums, you can turn around and you can see a Ranger tug, which was a nice comparison.
Yeah, so it was good to see. So one of the first boats near the entrance, there were some dinghies there. We talked to a fellow there, and he was actually selling his own custom boat that was built, I believe, in 2022. And this was a Tideline. It was an interesting boat. That was aluminum, right?
It was aluminum, and it was a custom, they make custom boats. Yeah. So he was representing that company, and really seemed to be really well made. The paint job was great. The finishing was nice. I mean, I wouldn't call it as opulent as some of the other really high-priced boats. Very functional. It took fairly big motor, so you could
go up to 400, I think.
It could, so you could have double twos, two 200 horsepower outboards.
This one was outfitted with a 300 horsepower single engine, and I believe it had a kicker.
It did.
On it.
It did.
Yeah.
So it's outfitted for a bit of fishing, a bit of adventure, but it's a coastal boat. It's not something that's a blue water boat, which is really what we're looking for. It was, I would say, the one we saw a little small.
It was a 25 foot, and it was fairly compact and not a very large sort of cabin area, but still, I'm sure if you were going out, say, fishing or something for the weekend, it would be quite suitable for that.
And on a price perspective, it was quite reasonable when you take into account some of its competitors.
Yeah.
So it was for virtually a new boat. It was, I think, very competitive in the price.
Yeah.
So it's an alternative for sure. It's one we hadn't seen before, and it's one that's made fairly locally. So good options. And sometimes you find those sort of gems there that you didn't even know about, and I think this is one of them. I don't know if it's changed, the brand we're looking for, but it certainly gives us something to think about.
Another manufacturer we came across was a new boat, but it was a Walker boats, which we discovered was made locally, like really close to where we live.
Just down the road.
Coombs. It's made in Coombs, not far from the old Coombs market that we featured on one of our videos. But it's a very, I would say, high-end aluminum vessel. This one I think was 30 feet, and it had pretty much everything in it you would want.
It's got a big beam. I was talking to the sales rep, and he was telling me that they're one of the few aluminum boats that actually make a boat in a jig, and that basically means that there's not a mold, but you place the aluminum plates in a jig and you weld them in that jig so they maintain their shape. Now, a lot of the other boats don't do that. They'll actually just weld the plates upside down and then flip them. So it's one of the distinguishing factors, but their fit and finish of that boat was really very good.
It's out of our price range, but it's still really fun to look at.
It's definitely the Lexus of boats, and love to have one. But it's not something I think that's going to be finding its way into our driveway on our trailers.
Don't think we want to sell our house to buy the boat.
No. I don't think we can live on that boat.
And another brand that we really like, but again, I think out of our price range, unless we get a reasonably priced used one, is
North. Or win the lottery.
We don't really play the lottery, so that's kind of hard to win. But anyway, North River, we've shown you that before. That's a really nice vessel as well, made in the States. And maybe that's one reason why it's priced higher for our year because of the exchange rate and everything. Yeah. And perhaps a bit of duty or
it's a really nice boat. Again, I think there's premiums. So the Walker is probably the premium brand. North River, it's also somewhat of a premium brand. And then there's others, like we just mentioned, the Tideline, which is a little more custom. They're trying to get into the market, so they're willing to, maybe be a little less on the price. Yeah. So, but that North River, it's a beautiful boat.
It's still a really nice boat.
Well appointed. Yeah. But again, I think a little bit out of our price range.
And I think really overall, I feel like since we bought our boat in 2019, which was pre-COVID, we realize now that COVID really pushed up the prices of all of these things, RVs and boats and things that people use at home. And I think we're starting to see the decline now because people are starting to want to travel out of the country and do things they used to do pre-COVID.
Well, it's funny you should say that because in the news recently, and maybe you've seen them, there have been comments around RVs and boats they kind of go hand in hand. They're kind of boats or RVs on the water vehicles. And vice versa. Yeah. But the RV market has been dropping, and the RV retail market has been dropping fairly significantly. And some are saying that the boat market is really following suit. There is always exceptions. I think the luxury market in boats is still, I think, quite strong. But the sort of the middle of the road, that is showing some weakness. Now, that's not great for people that are selling, but those of us that are buying, it makes it a little more palatable to go into something that may be a bit newer, maybe a bit bigger. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out in the market over the next 6 to 12 months.
One last manufacturer or brand name of boat that we saw that I had never heard of before was Liquid Metal. I know you mentioned it at the beginning, but I hadn't heard of that one before. They had a few vessels there. And the one that we went on was probably their largest one. I think it was huge. It was way out of our price range.
It's custom.
But it was really nice. It had a head down below, which we hadn't really seen before. Some people or some manufacturers make them with the toilet under the V-berth or whatever. And so that seems a little odd to me. I don't think how do you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom if you need to go? That's a little weird.
But this one was very big, very beamy. Twin 600s, to give you an idea
Twin 600s,
of the size of the motors. Again,
very roomy.
I'm very sure nice. Very comfortable.
Yep.
But again, outside of our price range, and quite frankly,
and that was for new.
It was too big for what we want anyway.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I did see on many of these boats that the options include Seakeeper stabilizers. So
that is a good thing.
It is, and they're bringing it down into the sort of the 28 to 32 market as far as feet. Whereas before, you'd always think a Seakeeper, one of the gyros, would be in the 35s and up. So that was kind of interesting to see that they were right alongside a lot of these other vendors when you go into the exhibition area.
Yeah.
So it's not that I think we're going to go with a stabilized boat, but if one comes with one, we wouldn't say no.
I'd be surprised if the boat we get has one, but that would be very nice.
It would.
But anyway, regardless, it was a really nice time. We spent some time there at the boat show talking to the various people who were selling the boats, looking at the boats, sort of the more times we see boats, the more information we gather and the more we know what's suitable and learn something pretty much every time.
Every time.
And then after that, we spent some time just walking around the harbor, and they have some really nice lawn chairs out on their lawn, just overlooking the water and the boats going by. It was very pleasant.
Well, I'd thoroughly recommend Sydney for anybody that's going down. I mean, if you are visiting, if you're retired and just touring the Vancouver Island area in Victoria, Sydney's a place to go to. Well, they have great brewery there. They have a fantastic bistro on the end of the pier, which we went to
for lunch,
which was really good.
Yep.
So yeah, it's whether there's a boat show or not, it's a great place to go and see and spend some time.
And if you fly into Victoria, that's where the airport is, up in Sydney. So
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, the ferries are right near there too.
Everything's close.
It's a happening place.
Yes.
Anyway, thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoyed our little chat about the Sydney Boat Show, or the BC Boat Show in Sydney. And we'll let you know when we get a boat. We're probably looking to get one towards the end of the summer. We're not going to get one. We're not going to rush into getting one.
Yeah.
But we have plans to rent a boat with some of our looper friends and go up into Desolation Sound. And I would really like to share that journey on video, since it's something we haven't ever done before. So pretty exciting.
And stay tuned, because that's not the end of boat shows. I think we have one more we're going to. This one, perhaps a little bit bigger. Something that is, again, Pacific Northwest. But
we won't tell you where. You have to stay tuned.
We won't tell you where, but it should be a really good show to go and see. So we'll try and bring you along with us.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.